Appointing executors. It sounds all very legal, Mohammed. Appointing executors. So what does that mean?
Executor, in layman terms, is the person who's going to deal with executing the will as per your wishes. So,
Okay.
for example, informing the authorities you know more, transferring the assets to the beneficiary, closing your bank accounts, in notifying the insurance companies, claiming the money.
Right.
It is a tedious task, I must admit. Even there are companies out there that deals with execution. It's not an easy process. It's a
Right.
lot of paperwork is required, lots of documentation, and due to inheritance tax that you got to inform the revenue, it is a process.
And I mean, I'm trying to think if it's that much of a process. I mean, who would you ask to take this, what is a mammoth task on?
It's a good question. I mean, look, there's never a right or wrong way. I've had cases where husband told me that, look, I want my wife to be the beneficiary, but I can't see her dealing all this paperwork. So then they appoint their brother to do all the legwork.
Right.
Or you can appoint a company who will charge, but will get the work done. There are specialist companies out there that deal with execution, and they will do all the work. But then, like I've been telling you, Faisal, it's important they know where the assets are.
Sure.
They need to know where the money is. I mean, how are they going to claim the insurance money if you haven't even told your family you've got life insurance?
Of course. But what is the motivation for an executor to actually go that extra mile to find out everything? I mean, is that just trust that you know they'll do it, or?
Hence, you need to draft a will and you need to write down who are the person. So while you're in the right frame of mind, who's looking after your children? That's the guardian. Who's going to deal with the execution is the executor of the will. So the motivation is really that you know this person, you trust the person,
Right.
and he will follow your wishes. However, at his discretion, he can appoint a third party to do the work on his behalf.
Sure. Okay.
So, for example, you appoint your brother, and let's say tomorrow he immigrates to the US, and then he said, God, I can't come all the way back to the UK to do all this paperwork. Then he can give a third party power of attorney
Sure.
to someone else to say, look, you act on my behalf and do the work. Either way,
Okay.
either case, somebody needs to know where the assets are.
And presumably the executor needs to know they are the executor, or is that something they find out?
No.
opening?
You need to know, to let everyone know in advance. So if you're appointing your wife's sister as a guardian of your children, you need to tell her, get her permission. You don't want to
Sure.
surprise her. If you're appointing your cousin, your father, your brother, your friend as the executor, you need to tell that person now, get their permission. But again, like I said, if always have a plan B.
Sure.
Plan C. You never know if that person's not there. Maybe he passes away before you.
Fine. Okay.
You never know.
No, it's true.
But then in many cases, husband appoints a wife or wife appoints the husband. They can do the work or they can outsource it to a third party.
Does an executor have any influence? Because that's the worry, isn't it? If you've got a load of family, you've appointed one of them. The worry is
Executor is only following your wishes. So
Right.
if you say, I'm leaving all my money to the cats and dogs home, his job is to make sure the money goes to the cats and dogs home.
But could they influence? Because they could say, yeah, no problem. Leave that with me. I'll get it sorted.
That's why when you draft a will, you have the executor doing his job and the
Right.
beneficiary is receiving the benefit
Okay.
and the beneficiary is going to get the money.
Sure.
That's why if you put the beneficiary down as the cats and dogs home,
Yeah.
then the executor is just following your wishes. The only thing he can do is to say, okay, I spent X amount of time or money, or these are my travel expenses. So that he can put in like a claim to say, yes, I want to be reimbursed. But even the receipts have to be justified. It's
Sure.
not that he flew in first class and staying in the most expensive hotel up in central London.
Sure.
No, everything's got to be justified.
Okay, so let me give you a quick scenario then. Somebody's got a family and left a lot of money, but nothing to the family, but there's a family member that's the executor. Now, can the executor disagree if they should have been a beneficiary, if they felt they should have been
Look,
a
there
beneficiary?
are some laws that if someone in your family is a dependent, a financial dependent on you, you cannot waive them or you cannot exclude them from the estate.
Right.
There are certain laws to protect them. But what you need to understand, by definition, an executor is just like a PRO doing your work,
Sure.
doing the legwork. So let's say you want to set up a company in the UK, you can do the work yourself, or you might go to appoint a company who does company formation. Say you do the work, they'll charge you, and they'll do the work for you.
Sure. So there's no threat or there's no issue with this individual?
Very, very rarely.
Okay, that's good news. So essentially then, it's about the executor making sure you appoint one, give them all the information that they need so they can make sure your wishes are carried out. They know where everything is, as you mentioned before, knowing where the assets are. They understand what's happening with the guardianship, with the children, etc. And they can make sure everything happens in line with your wishes and what's in the will.
That is correct.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed. That's a very important topic. Thank you very much indeed, Mohammed, for clarifying those points.
Thank you, Faisal.